They stole his first term as president. These absolute liars who run around trying to act like they're the protectors of democracy completely ruined it, tried to undermine it at every turn and at the highest levels with lies, with out and out lies that were really serious, and changed foreign policy and changed the course of history in this country in Trump's presidency. And there must be accountability. There has to be actual criminal accountability for those who lied. And I can't wait to see this administration do.
Megyn Kelly came out swinging like a political prizefighter, and Hillary Clinton was the unlucky one in the ring. With each sharp jab, Kelly cut through Clinton's decades of polished armor, exposing cracks she's worked hard to cover. This wasn't just a roast, it was a systematic takedown. Scandals, contradictions, and carefully spun narratives all got dragged into the light. By the end, Clinton's polished image didn't look unstoppable anymore. It looked fragile, more like a shaky house of cards than the storm she wants people to believe.
Hillary Clinton has a very weird and I think shitty marriage. I don't think she has a husband who is in love with her or faithful to her. And I think I can't really blame him because she seems to have accepted this behavior since the inception of their marriage. And so past his prologue, you're going to get what you tolerate. You know, what you permit, you promote. She spent all of her daughter's upbringing away, at work, at the law firm, in the White House, running for office. And
Hillary Clinton has spent decades moving through politics with the confidence of someone who believes her place in history is assured. But Megyn Kelly tore into that mythology like a buzzsaw, cutting past the polished image to expose a career built more on endurance than achievement. This wasn't a careful critique, it was a direct surgical strike. Kelly sliced through the layers of political legend and revealed the unflattering core Clinton has fought to keep hidden.
Have in the Durham Annex, like full screen grabs of the Russian memos that the Dutch got their hands on and leaked to us, where the Russians are recounting exactly what they saw Leonard discussing about this Hillary Clinton fan and emissary, Julianne Smith, and how they were going to stop Trump, undermine Trump, but most importantly, distract from Hillary's email scandal.
If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon. Kelly went straight for the heart of Hillary's brand, the seasoned stateswoman image. To her, this wasn't wisdom at all, but survival disguised as experience. She framed Clinton's long career not as proof of skill, but as evidence of a system that shields its most valuable insiders. In Kelly's view, Hillary's staying power wasn't about brilliance. It was about having the right network to weather storms that would have sunk anyone else.
Was doing all this. And back to Hillary, you know, the whole, she has a hat she's tweeted herself out wearing, but her emails. She's tried to turn it into this ridiculous joke, like, oh, but the moon landing, like you nutcases who are still railing about this made up scandal, this thing that, you know, you've used to try to unfairly tar me. She did need to distract from that email scandal, which was around her neck like an albatross. Trust me, we were covering it every night on the Kelly File at Fox News. She had clearly violated the law with that homebrew server that had been accessed by foreign agents. She compromised national intelligence information. She did things she would never have allowed anybody at the State Department to do under her.
Then Kelly went after the entitlement head-on. Hillary's entire political presence, she argued, has always carried that subtle air of you owe me. Every campaign, every carefully staged speech, every public appearance seemed built on the assumption that she was the inevitable choice, the steady hands, the default adult in the room. Kelly dismantled that illusion with precision, reminding viewers that inevitability isn't leadership, it's arrogance dressed up in a power suit. Trust isn't owed, it's earned. And for all the lofty titles Clinton has held, Kelly pressed the question that cuts deepest. Where are the results that justify the myth?
Hillary Clinton, of course, is the original election denier. I'm sure you voted for her in 2016.
Well, she's not an election denier.
She absolutely was the OG election denier.
First of all, she came out before the sun had risen. to concede the election to Trump.
And then spent the next 4 years saying he was illegitimate. He was an illegitimate president.
Okay, well, first of all, she didn't say he was an illegitimate.
Yes, she did.
You tell me exactly what she said.
She said those exact words repeatedly.
Kelly dismissed outright the notion that Hillary's career reflected tireless public service. To her, it was a case study in self-preservation and ambition, a calculated climb that prioritized survival over substance. Scandals like Whitewater, Benghazi, and the private server weren't moments of reckoning. They were hurdles she sidestepped without ever looking back. Each controversy that should have ended her career became just another chapter in her relentless pursuit of power. Kelly drew the picture vividly. Hillary walking out of one burning building only to strike a pose for the cameras in front of the next, never pausing long enough to face the flames she left behind.
And that leaves me back to Schellenberger here. This is page 4 of his report. He writes as follows: the Russian reports, again, that the Dutch spied on, that we got our hands on, also claimed, and listen to this, I mean, you probably already know this stuff, Glenn, but claimed that Attorney General Loretta Lynch, okay, this is back in 2016, people, remember, Obama's president, Loretta Lynch is his Attorney General, and her DOJ/FBI are investigating the Hillary Clinton email scandal. And also now we learn simultaneously working with the Hillary Clinton campaign to bury that scandal in favor of calling Trump a Russian agent. Okay.
Kelly didn't hold back when it came to hypocrisy either. Hillary's brand has long leaned on being a voice for the underdog, for the working class, the marginalized, the forgotten. But Kelly pointed out the glaring contradiction. Hillary's closest allies and deepest pockets came straight from the global elite. Her donor rolls looked less like grassroots support and more like the guest list of a Davos cocktail hour. Wall Street titans, foreign power players with tainted records, and wealthy insiders far removed from everyday struggles. Kelly hammered it home with precision. You can't claim to fight for the people while cashing checks from the very institutions that keep them crushed.
Okay. I mean, she conceded the election. Whether you're interpreting her disappointment at losing it as the same thing as Trump not conceding it, I don't know. That's where you're getting it from. But again, it's a tremendous false equivalency. You could ask Hillary Clinton right now who won that election. She will tell you. Donald Trump won the election.
Now she knows she has to because of what Trump has.
Kelly dug into 2016 like she was reopening a wound that never healed. She tore apart the smug certainty of a campaign that looked more like a coronation tour than a contest, one built on the assumption that voters would fall in line simply because Hillary told them she was the only option. Inspiration was never on the table, entitlement was. And when it all collapsed, Kelly ripped through the endless post-mortem excuses, the Russian trolls, the Facebook memes, the unfair press. All distractions from the most obvious truth. Hillary Clinton was simply the wrong candidate at the wrong time, a politician out of sync with the very voters she believed were already hers. But Kelly didn't stop at the campaign. She went for the jugular with the Clinton Foundation, treating it like the Achilles heel everyone else tiptoed around. She stripped away the glossy speeches about transparency and integrity, exposing the reality of an organization that blurred the line between charity and political machinery, until the two were indistinguishable. In Kelly's framing, the foundation wasn't about service, it was about access. A political vending machine dressed up as philanthropy, where the currency wasn't compassion but influence.
She got away with murder. Lock her up was right and righteous. And Trump actually should have gone after her when he took office back in January of 17. The only reason it appears that the FBI didn't go after her is because the fix was in. And Loretta Lynch was really clear she wasn't going to do that to Hillary and was telling the Hillary campaign.
Kelly didn't just poke at Hillary's reinvention game. She gutted it. Every so-called new Hillary was, in her telling, nothing more than a recycled product with new packaging. A wardrobe shift here, a softened tone there, a carefully timed laugh to seem relatable. But Kelly's critique cut past the surface. Authenticity isn't a costume, and it can't be penciled in between high-dollar donor lunches and staged town halls. It either shows up naturally or it doesn't. And for Hillary, Kelly argued it never did. Then she turned the fire toward the press. Kelly torched the media for playing guard dog instead of watchdog, cushioning Hillary's image when it should have been testing it. Scandals weren't interrogated. They were softened, reframed, or dismissed as partisan noise. Kelly argued that this didn't just shield Clinton, it weakened democracy itself. A politician who knows the media will mop up her mess has no reason to answer hard questions. And when it came to the substance of Hillary's speeches, Kelly was merciless. Behind the polished delivery and consultant-tested language, she said, was little more than a steady stream of platitudes, phrases crafted to sound profound but engineered to avoid risk. Kelly likened them to empty calories, quick to fill the silence, easy to swallow, but ultimately leaving the public no stronger, no more nourished, and no closer to real change. Do you want me to continue this in the same tag team roast style with Kelly's punches setting up for Rogan or Gutfeld to slam dunk after? Or keep it focused as a solo Kelly takedown?
This woman should be in jail. Literally, Hillary Clinton should be behind bars. And so should the people who worked for her who did this. This is so blatantly corrupt. She wanted to distract from her email scandal. She cooked up a plan to accuse Trump of being a Russian agent in order to distract.
And while Hillary has mastered the art of presenting herself as a tireless advocate for women, Kelly wasn't buying it. Advocacy, she argued, means putting the cause above the self, but Hillary's version has always been about fusing the two until they're inseparable. Support her and you're supporting women, criticize her and you're attacking them. It's less empowerment and more political shield disguised as moral ground. Kelly then turned to the post-Washington chapter, dragging it into the spotlight with no mercy. The pricey speaking gigs, the polished media projects, the endless appearances designed to keep her name alive without the burden of holding office. It was the portrait of relentless self-preservation. A politician who perfected optics over outcomes, someone who built a career on survival, and then convinced the world that endurance itself counted as leadership.
Look, we kind of have to do this for window dressing, but don't worry, I've got you. That's what's alleged in these documents. And Hillary has been acting like she's the one who's been wronged. This is all a made-up scandal, and the evil Trump who said she ought to be behind bars is so out of line. Meanwhile, Trump didn't do it. Everybody knows Trump didn't go after her criminally with his DOJ when he took office. And yet, as soon as he was out of office, they did it to him.
Hillary's image reinventions have turned into a political running gag. Each attempt feels less like authenticity and more like a stage production with costume changes. One season she's the warm, cookie-baking grandmother. The next she's the iron-willed stateswoman rehearsing lines for a commander-in-chief audition. The only constant is how tightly scripted it all appears, down to the forced laughs, the coffee shop cameos, and the carefully timed relatable moments that land with the stiffness of a cue card. Kelly framed it as politics done like performance art. Not communication but choreography. For years, there's been the promise that eventually Hillary would finally explain herself, offering clarity the public has been waiting for. But when the spotlight comes, it's always the same blurred language, deflections dressed as answers, and a selective retelling of history. Instead of a revelation, it becomes another act in the long-running play of manufactured relatability.
Made up a scandal about Trump being a Russian asset. And they banked on the intel agencies working with her to perpetuate this lie, and it appears they were only too happy to assist. That's what this scandal's about. Pieces of it we knew. New pieces are coming in by the day thanks to these declassifications. And it's downright shocking. Do not believe that there's no there there. The people who are saying that are wrong.
Kelly drives that stake straight through Hillary's narrative, zeroing in on her endless portrayal of herself as the misunderstood target of conspiracies and smear jobs. The irony, Kelly notes, is that many of these storms were once Hillary brewed herself, yet somehow the thunder always gets blamed on someone else. It's a perfected survival tactic, transforming accountability into a communal guessing game where fault dissolves into the ether. The critique lands hardest when Kelly peels back Hillary's brand of feminism. Instead of a movement for women, it's recast as a shield for Hillary. A selective armor where any criticism, even of her policies or choices, is reframed as sexist attack. It's not empowerment, Kelly argues, it's deflection. Underneath it all lies an assumption not just of victory, but of destiny, that the Oval Office was hers by right, waiting only for the clock to agree. That sense.
God bless our servicemen and women, the guys in uniform, the guys who liberated the world. Such a great reminder of the best America has to offer and the responsibility we all share in securing our nation's future. Unfortunately, this being political season, not everyone took the high road. Take a look at this tweet from Hillary Clinton. 80 years ago today, thousands of brave Americans fought to protect democracy on the shores of Normandy. This November, all we have to do is vote. She can't let it go, even on a day like this. Well, to her, because for the rest of us, our minds and our hearts are in the right place.
Kelly rips into that mindset with surgical precision, pointing out how Hillary's defeats are never chalked up to her own missteps, but instead spun as cosmic errors, glitches in history that robbed her of what was rightfully hers. That air of inevitability morphs into parody when Kelly pivots to Hillary's courtship with the media. A push-and-pull game where praise is embraced like gospel, but scrutiny gets dismissed as betrayal. It isn't respect, Kelly argues, it's a business deal, a cold exchange of access for favorable coverage. And when the tone shifts, so does Hillary's posture, from gracious stateswoman to aggrieved victim. Even the so-called off-script moments don't land as genuine. They're too neat, too rehearsed, laced with the familiar rhythm of a performance perfected over decades. The lofty phrasing, the knowing sigh, the quick redirect, the neat diffusion of blame. It's not mystery, Kelly says, it's choreography. And the longer Hillary clings to it, the more it cements her image not as an evolving leader, but as the same operator in a different costume.